Hey everyone, welcome to the Tuesday Night Principal Call. Tonight we got a DE kid, Danny Goodman from. Unfortunately, he's from Austin, Texas tonight because his practice is in New Orleans and everything's flooded out and doesn't have power. So he's been coming to us from Austin, Texas. Before we get started, just want to make sure we take a little time of silence and prayer for all those who were struck by Ida, who were affected by Ida, and those and up in the north and east now they're going to be affected by that as well as just our DE family. There's a lot of people in our DE family right now who are struggling, who are having to make decisions about how they're going to practice, if they're going to continue practicing where they are because of the laws with the vaccines and crap that's going on. So let's just always, like RJ Kelly taught us, pray first, aim high, and stay focused. So that if we're going to just take one moment of silence, seeing everybody healthy, seeing everybody peaceful, seeing everybody be able to be free to do what their thing is with no judgment and nothing but love. And again, everybody be safe in the storm and the aftermath of this terrible storm. Thank you, God. Thank you for peace internally, peace externally, wisdom, and love. Let us just be your beacons of love. Hold everyone who is without power, without shelter, in your arms and your love. Let them feel your presence, your power, your peace. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All righty, so Danny Goodman's dad is notorious for bringing Michael O'Halloran to DE way long ago. So you never know how far-reaching what you think, say, and do today can affect millions down the road, down the years. And now Michael's got his family, his son, his nephew, his brothers and sister-in-law are all chiropractors. They're all DE people. And this guy, I just love Danny. He just every time I'm around him, I just feel this vibration of love and peace and certainty for a young man. He is an old soul. So with no further ado, from Austin, Texas, from Long Island, New York, from New Orleans, Danny Goodman.
All right. Hello, everybody. I hope y'all could hear me. So first off, thanks, Andy, for saying that prayer, and definitely, if you haven't already, keep New Orleans and the people in Southeast Louisiana in your thoughts. And if you're able to, maybe make a contribution, especially the Cajun Navy. These are a group of renegades who pretty much have their own boats and helicopters, and they're going out saving people and doing whatever they can. And they've raised, I think over $100,000 in just a few days. So, yeah, Lieberman texted me the other day while I was in the Dallas airport asking if I would do the call. And I was a little surprised, but either way, of course I said yes and had the time to do it. So, I'm just going to kind of talk because a lot's obviously up right now in a lot of different ways. And, when given this opportunity, I know sometimes use it as a time to speak inspiration or help your practice or help your life. But I'm just going to kind of share a bit about myself and what's going on right now and see how that goes. And hopefully the clock won't get too far away and brings value to somebody. But, if you have been watching the news, I'm sure you've learned that, this hurricane is really hit us hard. And this isn't the first time this happened. In fact, 16 years ago to the day, this very same happened to me when I was a sophomore in college at Tulane University. And one thing that rings true through everything, and why, let me just say straight away, I'm safe, I'm happy, I'm blessed beyond repair, and I'm thankful for that. And I've definitely had several challenges through not just my career, but kind of finding that path, but it really has never been that challenging because we've always been innately guided. And that's something that, I really want to speak on today. Growing up, not just being a DE chiropractor, but just being a principled chiropractor. In my house, I didn't know what chiropractic was, in the sense that I've never heard BJ Palmer's name. I didn't know who Gonstead was. I've never seen an activator. But in our house, we knew what the innate life force was. We knew what subluxation was. We didn't have sugars or Tylenol, Advil, anything like that. We just got adjusted and rested and talked about those things. I grew up, I remember, I don't know if it was a D, New Beginnings or what, but we did all sorts of weird things, like kind of bringing out that innate life expression and connectedness that we all resonate with in the DE movement, that I didn't realize was weird. I remember me and my dad once, we had one of those, I forget what they're called, those like thick metal rods that they use when they're setting the foundation for concrete for buildings. And from apart, we put it in the pocket of our throat here. And I must have been maybe 7 or 8 years old. And just by coming together, we were able to bend this rod through that little pocket above the episternal notch. And that sat in our garage for years and years and years. Normal people don't do that. And we never knew that was abnormal. I remember going to a friend's house for a sleepover for the first time, and when asked what I wanted for breakfast, and they said cereal, they asked what kind, and I had no idea that there was all these sugared cereals, because we didn't do that in our house. And as the years got older and older, and I realized just really how unique our lifestyle was and how strange it may have seemed, it made me more proud and more ingrained in that approach, and made me really an expert in that connectedness. And, a lot of that's been challenged throughout the years, but really letting go and letting God and letting the universe unfold the way it's supposed to has always worked in favor. And it's because we know as chiropractors that by living innately and allowing that clear expression to undo itself, that not only do we get the best lives possible, but humanity at large goes further. Through these last several months, I've been reading each morning a bit of Life Without Fear by Fred Barge. And it's so relevant for what's happening right now, even though this was all from the 50s. And this morning, when I was reading, there was this quote from BJ Palmer that I wanted to share, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with this hurricane. But BJ says that innate is God in human beings. Innate is good in human beings. Innate cannot be cheated, violated, or tricked. Innate is always waiting, ready to communicate with you. And when innate is in contact, you are in tune with the infinite. Now that last part gives me the chills. When you're in contact with innate, you're in tune with the infinite. And, right now, from the outside looking in, I'm away from my home. There's no end in sight for when I'm going to be returning. There's a lot of uncertainty with all the businesses and the community and the economics of our city, the infrastructure, the safety, even just being able to drive on the streets. Speaking with people back there or texting haphazardly because the communications are down and everyone checking in on each other, it's pretty messed up. And so for me, sitting here, I promise I'm innately guided and I'm totally at peace, because whatever is meant to unfold will. Back 16 years ago, I remember waking up that Saturday morning thinking it was going to be the best day of my life. It was freshman move-in day for Tulane University. I was a sophomore, so we had a house. We were going to have a big party, the whole deal. And as soon as I opened the door, people flooded in and were saying, "Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going?" I had no idea there was a storm. I didn't even know about Katrina. I called my mom and asked her, like, "Hey, hear about storm?" She's like, "Are you kidding me? I booked you a flight already, But anyways, from there, that innate guidance and going with the flow really did set forward a lot of not just how I would survive that catastrophe, but how my life unfolded. Originally, I had a scholarship for math to Tulane, and that's going to play a role later. But anyways, so try to make this whole history really short, because we only have so much time. But, that day things got really crazy. Everyone started evacuating. Everyone started planning their evacuations, or if they were going to stay or not, because if you're not from the South, you might not know, but we usually stay for hurricanes. It's usually not that big a deal. As long as you hunker down and you have your supplies, then it's okay. It's just kind of a night in, and it passes, and you cross your fingers and it's okay. And a lot of people did stay for this one. But Katrina was different. I mean, the town became a ghost town really quick. You couldn't get anywhere. There were no Ubers, anything like that. To get a cab was impossible. And, at the time, I didn't have a car, and I had this flight planned for the following day at 8 a.m. And we ended up going to the airport with some other friends who had similar flights somewhere else. And we planned on sleeping in the airport because there was no other way to get there. And we walk across the street. There's a Denny's there, or used to be, by the airport. And I'll never forget, again, this is, again, being innately guided, listening to the universe, right? And we're sitting at Denny's. The waiter comes over and he says to us, he goes, "Well, what are you guys doing here?" And we explain, we got a flight in the morning, so this, that, whatever. And he just looks at us and he says, "If you guys don't leave right now, you're going to die." And we all kind of stopped and asked him, "Well, why aren't you leaving then?" And he said, "I can't. If I could, I would, but I can't." And in that moment, we listened to the universe. We got in a car and we drove on the eastbound side of I-10, watching all the signs behind through the night to Houston. Ended up flying out of there. I ended up staying with these guys, and we had a pretty powerful time together, and just watching the news unfold about how bad things were. And first we were told that 2 weeks until school was back, and that turned into a month, and then everything was canceled. So I ended up back in New York. I was by myself at the time because I think family was on vacation or something, and didn't know what I was going to do. The only thing I had was my laptop and a little backpack, because I thought I was just going away for 2-3 days, come back, no problem. And a friend of mine called and said that they were driving out to Colorado to go to University of Colorado for the semester if I wanted to come. I go, "Sure, pick me up." So within an hour, they picked me up, and we drove through the night to Colorado, arrived as zombies at Tuesday morning in order to register. And, originally I had a scholarship for math, but when I got there, this was kind of a semester in transition, and we had to pick a schedule on the spot, and there weren't so many classes. And I ended up taking a creative writing class and an advanced writing class, and I just fell in love with that world. And when I went back to New Orleans, I switched majors from math to English, creative writing. And, my goal was I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write about music, maybe write for children, things like that. That's what felt right. That's what Innate was calling. I graduate 2008 and the economy crashes. And within a month or two, I found myself working at the Cheesecake Factory, living with my parents. So after about 4 weeks, I go, nah. And I bought a one-way ticket to Prague. When I was there, I taught English, I taught chess, I wrote for a music magazine, all these amazing things. And I ended up back in the States doing a bit more traveling and writing, and, was loving that life, but was kind of unfulfilled. I remember specifically, I was traveling in Mexico. I was in Oaxaca on a hammock, having a morning coffee, and just thinking to myself how I can do more, I can serve more. And I listened to the call again and ended up checking out chiropractic schools, which I'd always thought about, but I didn't even realize I was thinking about it. Because when you grow up in chiropractic, you're always an advocate, but to choose to be the practitioner is a challenge, to choose one career, staying in place, the money, the debt, the study, whatever. And I was at lunch with Sharon Gorman, Sebastian Bonnet, I think, isn't it? Sebastian Bonnet in Puerto Rico, and Eddie Diaz. And I remember Eddie saying to me, he's like, why don't you just go to chiropractic school? And I laughed. I was like, yeah, if it was only that simple, like to live somewhere else and do all the debt, whatever. He's like, you're looking at it the wrong way. He says to me, he goes, you know how powerful the adjustment is, right? And I go, of course. And he's like, well, if you go to chiropractic school, even if you completely fail in practice and you never practice a day in your life, you'll always have the ability to help your family, your friends, your children, anyone you touch. And that kind of sparked it in me to go to school. I remember going on vacations or wherever else, and we'd be at a restaurant, let's say in Mexico or something, and this was totally like clockwork, and anyone who knows him wouldn't be surprised. But by the end of the meal, my dad would be adjusting every single person in the restaurant, from the dishwasher to the owner, and there would literally be a line of people all the way. And I remember always loving that and admiring that and kind of laughing at it, because to other people they thought it was crazy, but for us, we just know that's what you do as a chiropractor. You give, you serve, and people are better adjusted than not. So when I went to chiropractic school, I did it because I wanted the power. I wanted to be able to put my hands on people and help them. Well, fast forward, and the call was always to go back to New Orleans and serve that community, and I did, and it's been great. I've had a lot of challenges with that, and I won't get into it now, but the name of my practice is called Get Real Chiropractic, because the only thing I do is real chiropractic. In Louisiana, I joke when I say it, but it's true. It's kind of a wasteland of principal chiropractors. There's maybe about 5 or 6 in the state that I know of that I would trust to put their hands on me or my family. And I tell my patients that, and that's not a marketing thing. It's because I really want them to find the right place. If it's not me, be somewhere else. For me to get checked is really hard. It's basically by my frequency of traveling that I'm able to find, a good upper cervical or a good principal doc to take care of me, because in the city, I don't have that. So come recently, these last few months, there's been a lot of talking too, listening to universe, getting tapped into that infinite. I got COVID a few months ago, and when I did, the first night I was sick. Let me say something else too. Most people don't realize this with New Orleans, but it's a totally different landscape than other places right now. It's a very, very heavy mass culture, and the people want it and they love it. And I use that as a metaphor because, I don't care if you use a mask or not, but when your freedom is taken away to live the way that you innately want to live, it's challenging. And being a chiropractor versus being a citizen are two different things. So when I went to the last DE, as soon as I landed on the plane, I got the news that starting Monday when I returned, that in order to go to the gym, in order to eat food, go indoors for coffee, bars, any sort of social thing, that you need to show proof of a vaccine card. And they're starting to do that in other places. So it was really tough for me to stew with that all weekend, knowing that when I go back Monday, I'd become a second-class citizen and not be able to do things that I love, that, builds to my health and my value and whole life expression. And that was really challenging. And what was worse off was that the community behind it really wanted it. They supported it. But back when that first night where I was symptomatic with COVID, I heard a voice. It could have been God, it could have been delirium, but I heard someone say, "It's time to go." And I didn't know if that was foreshadowing for something or if it was just the catalyst to maybe make the next move. But a lot's happened since then, in that regard, and now with this storm. And there's a friend that I have in New Orleans. He's a pastor. We struck a really good friendship. We were both screening at some health event, and we both love coffee and, love this principle of just universal intelligence, whatever that may mean. So for him, it's Jesus. For me, it's something else. But we had lunch the Wednesday before all this happened. And I had asked him, because this was something that I've been wrestling with, is that when you get signs from the universe, when you get signals from God, or challenges, obstacles, things that are preventing you from living that vision, is it God testing your resolve to see how much you really want it, to see your resiliency, to see if you're truly for the mission? Or is it a sign to heed the call and move on and listen, And it turns out that the book interprets it both ways. So there is no clear-cut answer of if these challenges are meant for you to overcome or if they're meant as signals to heed the call and move on to something else. The name of my practice is Get Real Chiropractic, but the name of my LLC, my company name, is called Plan U. And the reason why is because through all of this that we learned, you might have your plan A, your plan B, but it's always the universe's plan. And so Plan U, that's what that means. And through this most recent time in the last few days, it was the similar sort of feeling from 16 years ago with Katrina when all the news started about, how serious the storm was and how directly it was coming for us. And I don't have a car at the moment. That's a different story, but I was kind of at the whim of other people and I didn't want to stay put and I wanted to leave. And so I reached out to a friend and she said, of course, come with me. And I went with her family. And we went to Destin, Florida to start, passed through Niceville, thought of Tim Zook. I actually referred a patient to you. She's pregnant. She's in Destin as well. So hopefully you take good care of her. But when we were there, I was just totally at peace, same thing. I had my laptop bag and a little gym bag. I thought I was going back this Monday, start serving the people on Tuesday morning. And clearly that's not happening. And I didn't feel devastated. I didn't feel scared. Because I know that I'm just innately guided and that I'm blessed beyond repair. Mom always says that if money can fix it, it's not a problem. And right now, money can't fix the problems I have. And it's exciting to be able to get quiet and listen and see what's coming next and what's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, being a principal chiropractor, I get to not only help people wherever I go, but I get to do it at peace. Oddly enough, my friend, her name's Caroline, her dad hasn't been walking because he's got this tingling and numbness down his leg, you know the deal. And he's been to all these specialists, whatever. And I know it's not about symptoms, but it is, or it can be. We get sick people well, right? But anyways, I was just so grateful that they took me in the same way that I would. And the universe brought us together. I said, let's get you right. Let's get you adjusted. And I do upper cervical, adjusted his atlas. And like that, it all went away. And he just couldn't believe it, And all this happening to bring us together, for me to use my hands, to have him to be able to walk and express life and walk his dog and be at peace with his family. I mean, he was blown away. And of course, he's like, it's your livelihood, give it to me. I go, no, absolutely not. You serve me, I serve you, I couldn't be more grateful for you taking me in, not asking for anything in return. Right now, whether it's in New Orleans or anywhere else, everywhere I go, I'm with DE people. I'm staying with one of my best friends right now. As long as I want to be here, they're just so grateful that we get to spend time together. Out when I was in Florida, everyone I meet, all their smiling faces, feeling what it's like to be free again, not having to show this card or deal with the vaccine debate, which is very interesting because all the hate has stopped in New Orleans. There's been a lot of friction with this vaccine versus no vaccine, a lot of demonization, even friends who vocally wish death upon unvaccinated people, that now it's gotten all quiet and everybody is coming together to help each other, to give with abundance, no expectation in return. There's charging stations throughout the few people who have generators. There's people cooking any food they have left, for anyone who's willing to eat it in New Orleans. My neighbor, my landlord downstairs, she's from China. And when I had COVID, she gave me all these different herbs and teas and things like that, checking in on me every single day. And I just saw an article today that she actually opened a restaurant a few weeks ago, Chinese restaurant, and she's in the community now making as much food as possible for everybody. And from here, I don't know what's going to happen. They say it's a few weeks. I'm trying to get quiet and listen to what's next for me. Living in New Orleans as an unvaccinated citizen has been really challenging. I've definitely lost friends. I've had some really close relationships present themselves for what they really are. And I've had some other relationships reinforced for how strong we're united in our core values and how sane we are. And being in a group of a few hundred people at DE, all smiling en masse and just talking about empowerment and love and connection and spreading the truth, it's powerful. When I went back for this last DE that Monday morning, I was so excited to get in my office because that is the easiest place for me to be myself and speak my truth. After hearing things like Macy's story, people are literally dying from things way more than a musculoskeletal disorder. And just being able to show that weapon of love and describe that innate potential and talk about living innately to be able to save. And even further, Brian Moriarty talked about asking his patients to pray with them. And I started to do that as well. When people talk about God in my office, I would ask them, I'm like, if you have a relationship with him, I'd be happy to pray with you. And one of my patients, her name's Annette, and she's amazing. She's this older Black woman, and she has protrusio acetabuli in both her legs, which I think that's something, I don't know. But anyway, she's been to all different sorts of doctors. You know the story, physical therapists, injections, this, that. They want her to get surgery, you name it. And we've just been clearing her atlas, and her whole life has changed. And I told her, I said, God brought us together so I could help you. And I have written in my sign after what Paul said that I move the bone, God does the healing. And she shared with me how every night when she prays, she says, please bless Dr. Goodman's healing hands so he could help more people. And, none of this would be possible without all the challenges that came before. And there's a lot of insights that are going to come, and I'm just trying to get quiet. But, you don't need to pray for me. Please pray for everyone in New Orleans, because when I'm in the office, wherever state you're in, when you're in your office, you're two consensual adults and human beings on the planet, and you get the ability to help them with or without a mask, no matter what. You don't have to answer to anybody. When you walk outside your office, that's a different story. You have to be a citizen, and are people there to protect you or not? And so that's something I'm wrestling through right now. But, my worst case scenario is I might be starting a new practice on the beach in Florida. Or maybe I'll go to Mexico. Whatever it is, I'm letting innate guide me, and being connected is what's led me to that. And I feel great about it. So it's probably a good time to end. I could keep talking, but for those who, I haven't connected with, you can always message me or call me. I'm easy to talk to. And I really do love and appreciate not just my chiropractic community, but just those who live innately. People who understand that there's something bigger than just us, and that the universe is working beyond our control. And each time you try to, do something and think you're better than it, you'll be humbled real quick, and it'll always rub it in your face and show you, there's something bigger. And to live innately means more than just not being vaccinated or not taking Advil. That's all musculoskeletal stuff anyways. It just means trusting that power within and listening. So thanks for listening. Please think about donating somewhere worthwhile to the people of Louisiana. Love and appreciate you all, and I will see you next time.
Well, that's great. Hey, one more time. You said about donating. Was it the Cajun Navy? Is that what it's called?
The Cajun Navy. I'll try to get a link and send it over. But they're on Instagram as well, and they got a whole GoFundMe. But they're doing some pretty awesome things for sure.
Great. It's good to have insight from somebody there who could use it and make good for it. So appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Living innately, man. Ever since I met you, I've always thought that is who you are and that's what you do, and it's great that you practice it your whole life, because now you got to lean on that, and God will give you the right answer. You know that.
Heard that.
All right, my man. Thank you so much. And we will, everybody I'm sure has been thanking and praying for everybody in the Southeast Louisiana area. But also just all of us have to make that decision. What's right for us. And then whatever it is for us, go for it. Don't let anybody else judge you. It's between you and God, right?
Amen.
All right, my brother. Love you. And everybody, we'll see you next week. Have a great night.
Night.